Okay, so now we're going to move into Pause and Practice 4-3 under Excel, which covers importing and exporting as well as flash fill and some of the things that we can do related to bringing data in. So basically, there are different ways of bringing outside data into Excel. If you were in Word, for instance, you could do a copy and paste. If you're with certain types of data, you can actually import it, which takes it from the format that it's in, say in WordPad, and converts it into an Excel document. So lots of different ways depending on the type of document and information you're trying to bring in. And the same with exporting. Exporting is one of those things you can copy and paste, which we've done before, but you can also export to, say, a PDF file, which would make it a more easy file to send, and it's not writable, so people can't change the actual data. So we're going to start with importing. So I'm on 2016 here, so this is going to look a little different if you're using 365, but the process is pretty much the same. Under data, if we are importing from text, I've already downloaded this file and have it ready to go. This is a text document. It's not a Word document, but it's just a WordPad type of document. If I were to open it, for instance, you could see this is what it actually looks like. It's a Notepad document. Just some data that's separated by a tab, and we're trying to bring it into Excel. So when I select it, and this is where it's different in 2016 versus 365, I didn't have headers, and basically it's a wizard that separates the data out into columns. And once I get it set up and I choose Finish, I just bring it into my spreadsheet. Now, this is going to be a little bit different because in 365 they were going to have you do some copying and pasting of this and moving it down, but for what we're doing, it's good. Okay, so the other thing then is we can do a copy and paste. So in this document, which is called Copy Word 04, when I open it up, okay, here's some more data. Okay, and with this one, we're going to select the data just like that, and we're going to do a copy and paste. Well, here's where it's a little bit different because you notice the borders. So we got to make some decisions with that. So I put it in the clipboard, and I'm like, all right, now I want to be able to put it down here is where I want it to be. It is a paste, but I want to make sure I don't, I don't want to keep that formatting right. I want to match what's already in here. So I don't choose the keep source, I choose the match destination, which then sets it up. So I have all my data now imported into this particular worksheet. So I do want to take my numbers once the data is in, and I'm going to set this up as currency. And I'm going to decrease it by 2 decimal places, and I'm going to go ahead and make these bigger so I can see those. And now we're ready to roll. Now, one thing, and that's importing. So copy and paste versus importing. It's just two different ways of bringing data in, and again, we want them all formatted the same way. So let's say I want to add a column, and this is pretty cool, okay? So, and I want to do the email address. So let's say that for each one of these, their email address is their first name, first initial, period, last name, @somewhere.com. Okay, so you can see we've got about 23 of these names. I don't want to do 23 email addresses. I want it to be consistent, but I want to be able to find a way that it'll fill in for me. Well, there's a new feature in 2016, I think it is, maybe 2013, called Flash Fill. And here's how it works. So the first one is Christopher Bowman's email address. So we put in c.bowman@somewhere.com, and you press enter. And it recognizes that it's an email because of the @ sign. And now we can't do a fill, but we do know we want to start a pattern where it'll recognize that we're taking the first letter of the first name and the last name, which you've got to spell right. But watch what happens. So if I go c.m, it recognizes that we've started a new pattern here, and this is called flash fill. And as soon as you see it fill in, all you do is press enter. And there is also a under data, if it doesn't do this, there is a flash fill button that you can try to do where it fills in the values for the one above it. But you can see what it did for each one of these. It took the first initial dot, last name at somewhere.com. So that's a great way if you're going to be consistent with something to fill in text, and because you can't do that with the fill handle, right? But it's kind of like relative cell referencing, but it's referencing another location in the spreadsheet. Okay, so once we've got that done, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little more work on this. So we're going to select A4 to F28, and we're going to set this thing up as a table. It's like what we did in number 1. We're going to go to our Home tab, and we're going to do Format as Table. And we're going to do the first one here, which is called White Table Style Light 1. And we're good to go on that. Click OK. We'll say yes. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I should have done this. Notice how I made a mistake there. So I want to go Format Table. My table does have headers right up there. Nope, I don't want to do that either. I need to select this. Sorry. Notice how I just did my undo. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay. And that beep that I was getting is because I had imported some data, is what was going on. So what we're going to do is and I'm going to adjust these just a little bit. I'm going to add a column to the right and watch what happens. This is going to be called difference. And when you press enter, it adds it to the table. And that's part of our table now as well. It recognizes that. Okay, so we're going to do a formula. We're going to go equal. And this gets back to that structured reference that we talked about. But we're going to go F5 minus, and there's that structured reference, E5. So that's pretty easy in terms of the math that it's involved. We're taking the actual minus the goal. But watch what happens in a table format. It fills it in for us. Okay? And then we could take these, and we're going to do some formatting with this. Now, normally I'd go to currency and things like this, or you can remember you can hit the number format, and you can get into a little more detail. Like we're going to change the negative numbers to red. But you can also press Control and the number 1. That takes you to format cells as well. So any of those you should know. But what we're going to do is we're going to go change it to currency. No decimal places. And I want the numbers that are negative to be in red, no parentheses, and I'll click OK. All right. Then just a couple of features here, like G4, one of the things I want to do, notice that it did not put a border underneath that. Okay, so I want to apply a border to this. So under font, I can just click that border button and it will take care of that. Because we changed and added a column, our centering is wrong, so I need to add that in. A1 to G1, turn off the centering, turn it back on to fix it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this next one. Okay. That unmerges it. Let's see. And then like on this one, they wanted us to change the orientation to landscape. And that changes some of it made it fit on one page. Okay. So that's it on this one. So importing of text, and once it's in your Excel spreadsheet, you can format it any way you want, set it up as a table. We did flash fill. We could do filters. We could do all sorts of things as we wanted to. So that takes care of 4-3.